Welcome back to the surgical canvas. Midfacial distraction was pioneered by the Cohen. He used for the maxillary hypoplasia in patients with cleft palates. Now coming to the different types of the maxillary distraction. The first is the Leafoot 1. Here we go for osteotomy starting from the lateral pyriform aperture and then going to the pterygomaxillary junction. In case of Lee2 osteotomy, we start our osteotomy inferior to the nasofrontal sutures and go till the pterygomaxillary junction. In case of Leafoot 3 osteotomy, we along with Leafoot 2 go for osteotomies of the floor and the walls of orbit and nasion. We go for frontozygomatic suture osteotomy and zygomatic arch osteotomies also. Now coming to the Leafoots. In 25% of the cleft palate patients, there is need of surgical correction for the maxillary hypoplasia. For example, in Leafoot 1, it is ideal for isolated maxillary retrusion. Here we go for maxillary osteotomy. Then we apply Rowe-Kelly disinfection forceps. This forceps and we ensure that the maxillary segment is completely free, followed by distractor application. Leafoot 2 osteotomy is done in cases of nasomaxillary hypoplasia where the orbitozygomatic complex is spared. Here we go for bicoronal and intraoral exposure of the entire midface followed by transverse osteotomies. These transverse osteotomies are inferior to the nasofrontal sutures because if we go above the nasofrontal sutures, there are chances of injury to the cribriform plate and the cranial base, which may lead to CSF leak and meningitis. Here, we have to make sure that there is total mobility of the free segment from the nasal septum and the pterygoid plates. Leafoot 3 osteotomy is done for midface retrusion along with orbitozygomatic complex. Whole of the midface and the orbitozygomatic complex is retrused. Here also we go for bicoronal and intraoral incision for exposure. Let's take the case of Crouzon syndrome patient. Here there is symptomatic exorbitism and there is midfacial hypoplasia. So here we go for Leafoot 3 osteotomy and then distraction. Distraction is done by using cranial anchor device and these pyriform wires. Now coming to the monoblock advancement. This monoblock advancement is used for syndromic craniosynostosis with residual midfacial hypoplasia. Here we also need the monoblock advancement used in cases of midfacial hypoplasia along with the craniosynostosis. In craniosynostosis, there is also need of the anterior vault expansion. Therefore, monoblock advancement is helpful. But this procedure has several disadvantages, such as there is serious complications such as frontal bone loss and meningitis due to CSF leak. Monoblock osteotomies separate both frontal and maxillary bone from the craniofacial skeleton. For example, here we have done the frontal craniectomy and multiple osteotomies. The lateral orbital wall, the orbital floor, the medial orbital wall and then zygomatic arches. Now coming to the cranial vault distraction. Here the most common example is the posterior vault distraction. Here we go for posterior cranial fossa craniotomy and then application of the distractor. Now coming to the complication of distraction osteogenesis. One of the most common complication is the poor positioning of the distraction vectors, which leads to asymmetry, relapse and malocclusion. And if there is variations during the activation phase, which can lead to unstable bone. For example, if there is very fast excursion, there are chances of fibrous non-union, and if there is slow excursion, there are chances of premature consolidation. In case of mandibular distraction osteogenesis, there are chances of nerve injury such as inferior alveolar nerve, mental nerve and the marginal mandibular nerve. In case of Leafoot distraction osteogenesis, there are chances of injury of inferior orbital nerve, temporal branch of facial nerve and the supraorbital nerve. Thank you.